Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get into it with our guest, well, first of all, everyone should recognize our guest who's been a longtime listener. We have Charley back on the podcast. She was on, I believe it was like 8 or 9 months ago. So, yeah, and things have obviously changed since then. She won her pro card at the PCA Universe. So, everyone, she's now a pro now, even though, like I told her before, I'm shocked that she wasn't ahead of time. But, hey, she's finally got it now. It's all out of the way now. But, most importantly, she's our current guest on to, give us an update. So, Charley, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, no worries, Ryan. It's been, I know, the last podcast we wanted to do one following the pro card. Slightly delayed than what we wanted, but we got there in the end. But no, it's good to be back. I've missed you.
Absolutely, yeah, myself as well. Now, I got to ask, because I ask this every time to every guest, no matter how many times I get grief for it, what is the weather like today?
Do you know what? Today, it's been really annoying in England at the moment. So it's supposed to be like getting to summer. And we haven't really had much good weather. It's like raining, cloudy, windy, sunny, all in one day. But that's standard, obviously.
But enough about the weather. I mean, everyone, I'm sick and tired of asking it, but it's just a tradition that I do. Charley, you won your pro card. Give us the whole story. Give us all the details.
Yeah, perfect. So, obviously, last time we were on, I was a couple of weeks out from the PCA British, and that was obviously despite my collarbone, like I had all that fiasco. So it was a tough prep. I came second.
No broken bones this prep?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay, good.
Honestly, this is the only prep I haven't compromised myself, and my coach is very pleased for once. So we got there, but yes, I came second. I was obviously disheartened because it's only first place that obviously get the pro card. So I was absolutely gutted to say the least. But in the same breath, when I actually looked back at the photos of doing my collarbone injury and then like the months after, I was just unrecognizable. And it was just bizarre how my body just changed and adapted. And I guess not being able to train upper body for 8 weeks, in a prep to still come second is, something I had to really sit with and go like, be proud of yourself. So yeah, I did that, and then straight after I said to my coach, like, what was it this time? Like, how do we get better? What do we need to do? And his response was basically, it was a cat's hair, a cat's whisker. He said, I think, and he was like, it could have gone either way. Like the person that won had a completely different shape to you. Like, because it's so subjective, it was too, you couldn't really compare us, to be honest with you. So I was like, right, fair enough, I'll take that. Put a little plan together. I then went off to Sri Lanka and the Maldives because I just needed a bit of a break. Over Christmas for 3 weeks, that was incredible. Obviously I didn't gym a day there.
I saw your post about it where you're like, yeah, going 3 weeks without the gym, and I was like, oh, well, good luck to her, I guess.
You know what? It was. I did want to maybe try some gyms, but I don't know if you've been to that part of the world. But if you haven't, you should go. It's so amazing. Like we were like washing elephants. Like it was a different world. Such an experience. So I loved that. And then the idea was like have a nice holiday, relax, take a mental break, and then get straight back into it. So I did the longest prep I've ever done this time. So I started in second week in January. So it was pretty much a Christmas done, bit of a blowout, and then straight back in. Um, so yeah, it worked out to be about 18 weeks. It was really, really easy to start with because there's no steps aren't that high, there's no cardio and things like that. And then I did a bit of an Instagram sort of update a few weeks ago because people were just like, how do you get through it? Because it was just like a very up and down prep. Like for me, when I'm in prep, the light switch is on, and then when I'm out of prep, it's very much off. So it's very much like it just happens. Like I just get up to do cardio. Like there's no questions asked. Like I just have to do it. So yeah, the prep went well. Obviously, like I said, didn't compromise myself, which was great. Couple of little niggles. I still saw my chiropractor, and still little niggles here and there. But luckily, the collarbone is great now. Don't think you can see. You can't really see a difference anymore, which is great. So the main difference was I could train upper body. And I could train legs properly because obviously with my collarbone I couldn't do squats or deadlifts or anything like that. It was all like leg extensions, which helped a bit because my legs got bigger this prep. So yeah, just basically just kept going, grinding the whole way through. But my coach did sort of mentally prepare me because I'd just finished a prep. I think I only actually had, when I work it out, like 7 weeks off before I started prep again. So there was no off season. There was no time to grow apart from growing into the show and being able to train. So that was tough. So he mentally just said to me, look, you are going to have to be prepared. Like we are going to have to dig harder We're gonna have to really, really dig. And at first I thought, digging, yeah, fair enough. But there was 1 week that was just like I just wasn't here. Like I don't even know. I can't even remember it because it was just like it didn't happen. Like I didn't know my own name. I didn't know where I was. Like I was just like, what's going on? But it was just because the food got really low and the cardio got so high. An hour on the stairmaster every day at some points, and high and low days. My body was just like, whoa, this is tough. And then after that, it's sort of peak week or feeding up to the show, which was really, really good for me. And then yeah, obviously show day was God. It was only like 9 days ago. Wow, scary. 9 days ago, show day. Oh, 10 days ago now. And yeah, it all went smoothly. Like the whole day went smoothly. I can't complain. The only problem was because I obviously won, and then there was the overall, and then there was also the pro show. I literally was on stage 3 times doing the same thing, which is unheard of, really. Like I've never done that. It's normally, if anything, it's the overalls and whatnot. But the pro show at the end, I was literally up from 4 a.m. and I didn't get to sleep until 1 a.m. I was up for 21 hours, and again, I didn't really know what my own name was afterwards. I was so overwhelmed because so many people were saying to me, I didn't realize actually how many people have followed my journey. Like it was really nice to see people from around the world that I've never ever met before, and I felt a little bit, sad that I didn't know who they were, and they were coming up to me going, "You don't know me, but I'm a fangirl of you. Like I've been following you all this time," and it was really, really lovely. But so many people were just really happy to see me win. So many people just said how well deserved it was. It's been a long time coming. So it sort of just felt like a sense of relief on stage. Like I don't know if you've seen the footage, but as soon as second place gets called out and it's from a different country, I was just like, wow, I'm the only one here. It's me, and you just see like my chest just go like a relief. So I didn't get emotional. I mean, if you see the footage, I'm just on stage and I go, yeah. But yeah, because I just, I've wanted it for so long, and I obviously set my sights on it. I went there to win, and I got it. So yeah, good all round prep for a change.
Absolutely. And what do you think is one area of your body, even though you only had 7 weeks to really work on it, what is one area that you improved on the most from last prep?
Do you know what? It's quite a good question because I have had a look at like similar poses that I did last time. So the main difference was roundness development in my shoulders because I couldn't train them. They obviously just didn't look as round. And also my legs. My legs have really come up, which I was really, really happy with. My quads looked bigger. My legs looked leaner. And overall width, I think. The only thing I have to be conscious of is that I don't have hips, I don't have boobies, so I can look quite straight. So yeah, I'd probably say thickness in the back, rounder delts, and yeah, legs just looked bigger, which was a key area for me.
I was gonna say guns too. Geez, we can see them right here. Good God! I mean, you put on some size there, definitely. Geez, I mean that's yeah,
This is what they look like with no injury.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, no injury right there. So that's so. Did you? So were you like walking on eggshells basically all throughout when you weren't in the gym, trying not to get injured, or was that something where you just like, I'm not even gonna think about it because my older brother is injury prone as well, where it's like he could go to the bathroom and find a way to get injured. But like, how did you deal with that? Like trying to not get injured.
Do you know what? It was more other people telling me. Like, so when I was in the gym, like I would be trying to go for PBs, even like 3 weeks out. And it'd be my boyfriend or my coach on my check-ins when I said positives this week, PB. It is like, please don't be trying to PD. So it was more of the people just saying like, be careful, and that was like me going, oh yeah, be careful. Like I need to be careful. I obviously haven't done any horse riding because I've been banned from that whilst in prep, but I am going to get on a horse again, hopefully the next week or so, and just ease myself back in. So yeah, I just didn't do anything stupid. Like I didn't go horse riding. I didn't do any running because I've got no ACL anyways. I tried not to flare that up. I just didn't do anything. Yeah, basically I just isolated myself for so long, and so many people told me to, and just said, don't go anywhere, don't do anything, like we know what you like, just stay at home and do nothing. But yeah, like it was more other people than myself. I think if I had it my way, I probably would have taken up some other crazy sport, like I don't know, Formula One racing or something stupid like that.
Hey, I mean, we have little tracks around here in Minnesota that a lot of people do that. So I mean, I've been to a couple of them, and Formula One is pretty entertaining. I will say that. But I mean, this is a question that I just started asking too, which shows how smart I am, knowing that I've done like 550 of these podcasts. But when it comes to show day, what is your favorite part about show day, and what is your least favorite part about show day?
it is so hard because I've done 20 shows now when I actually count
Jeez.
back from when I first started, and they've all been a bit different. But I think my my favorite part about show day is probably like the getting ready, because when you're, I guess when you're lean and you get a bit of a diet phase, like I have fat cheeks normally, so they're starting to come back a bit now, but you just don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like your best, like your body looks the best, but you probably don't feel like you do. So like obviously having the bikini on, the tan done, the makeup and the hair, and then looking in the mirror and just thinking, yeah, this is what it looks like now. Like this is all the hard work and glamming it all up. So I think that's my favourite part about show day, is just putting my physique in the best light possible, to show everything that I've done and everything that I've worked for. That's probably the best part about show day. Um, and also actually getting a pump as well, being that lean, having your carbs, having your sweets, and then looking in the mirror. Like one thing that was incredible for me, I mean, this show, the standard was ridiculous. Like, there was people there from all over the world, and there was some Korean ladies that were absolutely crazy nuts, massive. Like they even had to make a physique class, which they don't do, because there were so many people in train that were just too big. So it just shows the level of muscle and development was crazy. But um, yeah, it was. I can't remember where I was going with that, Ryan. What was I talking about before
Oh,
that?
your least favorite part about shows.
Oh, right, yeah. So sorry. The other thing I
Of
was saying that
course.
was an amazing part about show day is obviously you get a pump, you're in the gym, getting all pumped up, and the gym there was amazing. And looking at yourself thinking, wow, like this is what it looks like. I'm not flat. I'm full of carbs. I'm full of like whatever. I can see all my veins. It's great. And I was backstage, and there was I think it was one of the tanners actually said to me, "Oh, you're in train figure." And I looked at her really funny and was like, "No, I'm in athletic figure." And she just looked me up and down and was like, "Don't be surprised if you get moved." And I thought, Jesus Christ, if I get moved to train figure, there's something wrong. Because all the train figure girls were lining up. There was a big physique girl that was like, "Are you in my class?" I was like, "Definitely not. You are crazy." Um, so yeah, that was quite nice. So yeah, and then I think the least part about show day is, well, this particular show day was just the time. Like I had to get up at 4 a.m. to get my makeup, obviously do my own hair, put all that in, and then go get my makeup done at 6 a.m. Then drive to the show, which luckily my partner drove, and that was 2 hours away. Register, get the top coat of tan on, lots of waiting about. I mean, I didn't actually get on stage the first time till 3:30. So I had all that time, had to wait till 3:30. Luckily, we could sit in the audience, and it just made it so much better than being isolated. And then I went back on stage about 6, and then back on stage again at 8. So I think it's just the time, and although it's exciting once you've done your class, if you have got more to do, it's like, God, I'm flagging now. Like I was getting so tired. And the other thing I hate about show day as well is just like feeling dehydrated. Like I had barely any water. Like I wasn't allowed much water. Obviously, my coach was like, "Don't have any more water" when I'd finished my show, because obviously we had the overalls, everything else. So you can't eat stuff straight away. You don't want to have a burger or something. You don't want to mess it up. So you're still snacking on rice, but you're not hungry because of the adrenaline. So I'd probably say like that the logistics side of it is not great when you're just starting to flag. You're clearly depleted. You're so dehydrated. Like all I ever want is like a big, massive cold drink, not even alcohol, just like I don't know, Fanta or these amazing Olymp drinks that I've got that are just EAAs, and I couldn't have it, so I had to wait until like 8:30 to have some water. So yeah, that was not great.
Well, you're mentioning fat cheeks. I'm the guy where I could be at 5% body fat and I will still have a double chin no matter what. So, it's just, yeah, I'm just, see, she doesn't, but like for me, I'm cursed with that. That's the one thing where even, yeah, it is just ridiculous. But you mentioned that you're in athletic figure and that there's another class of figure. We don't have that in the States here. So what is the difference between those classes of figure?
Oh, of course, yeah, because there's different federations, isn't there? So, PCA have obviously all the bikini classes. I think they actually have more than most federations. So they don't just have bikini; they have turn bikini, train bikini. They obviously have masters classes as well for bikini, junior bikini, which is obviously at an age, different height classes, and they've just introduced wellness as well. So they're like your fitness categories. You then have your figure categories. So you've got turn figure, which was my old class that I did most of my shows in before I became athletic, which is the next class. After athletic, you've got train figure. And then, like I say, PCA don't normally do physique. Like they don't, their theory really is that they don't really want to promote that sort of level. And most people do normally fit into train figure, but they had to create physique, and that is the top level. Um, So yeah, that's the top basically would be physique.
So what's the difference between athletic and trained? Is it just more size or more, or just the toned as well? Is it just slowly putting more size on as you get bigger and bigger into the categories?
Yeah, I'd probably say it's a lot harder. So athletic is hard though. Like you have got a hard look about you, but I guess the difference would probably be like the main difference is it would be in legs and feathering of the muscles. So obviously you've got condition, and then train condition is a bit of a different level. So where you can see like I've got the teardrop in my glutes and a bit of hamstring in train figure, you would see striations in the glutes and then full hamstring. So it's a lot more conditioned, and obviously with condition comes size. Generally, you would need to get a bit bigger. You probably need to show a bit more width in the quads and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely top level. I mean, personally, I don't think I'll ever want to get to train figure level. It's a catch-22 because I love training, I love lifting heavy, and it's a natural progression, just like athletic toned has been to athletic. But I think, yeah, I've definitely got a few more years in me as a pro, because when you win as a pro, you've got to stay in your category anyway. And at the end of the day, there's plenty of room for me to grow. I'm definitely not big enough to be train figure. I don't even know if I want to go there in terms of conditioning, because I just it just hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could not. I mean, just the conditioning alone is the one aspect of the sport that it just makes me cringe, at times. But just you mentioned it before, like you put on a couple of kilos since your show. You're 10 days off the show. How are you dealing with this whole transformation mentally? Is it easier now than it has been for your other preps since you've won your pro card to just sort of be like, okay, now I need to put on size?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a bit of a funny situation, because when I think about like my last prep, which we did the video for, and obviously this prep, when I actually work it out, I have dieted for 290 days in the last year. So my body just needs a break from dieting. So I'm doing a bit of a reverse with my coach. My coach actually said to me, he was like, "Is there any point in me writing you a reverse? Because you always seem to just do what you want." And that's the sort of relationship we have, and that's what I'm like. I mean, I've always been a lean bean from, you know, before bodybuilding. I've just always been lean, always had abs, that sort of look. I always struggle with this phase, and I think winning the pro card has made it better. The only problem's been it's just been quite overwhelming, really, because the amount of messages that I got through, I just didn't really know what to do. Obviously, there's an expectation of me now and all that stuff to digest, and it's still really early days. It's crazy. But generally, I've done quite well. Don't get me wrong. I've obviously had whatever I've wanted on top of like normal meals, so I'm doing a little bit of a reverse. But my plan really is to do obviously some pro shows next year, have the rest of this year off. So it's quite nice. I normally am dieting through the summer in England, whereas now I'm off for the summer. But I obviously dieted through my birthday, my partner's birthday, obviously a bit of Christmas, like that sort of area. So yeah, the plan is really for me. I've got so much coming up with like photo shoots and holidays. I kind of want to stay like this shape. Um, so yeah, I kind of want to stay as I am, really maintain this, and then from September, I just need to get comfortable with the fact that I need to get size, and with size comes more food and more weight gain. And that's, I know I'm going to struggle, because everybody knows me for having abs all year round. That's who I am, that's what I'm about. And I think when you've put yourself on that expectation, it's like it's just difficult to sort of come to terms with it. And I'm just petrified of putting on weight. I'm petrified of it. And I think that's a big part of the sport, is like the whole body dysmorphia thing, because your life is so planned by the minute and you look a certain way. Anything that's not stage lean to me doesn't measure up. So people now think, oh, I look amazing. Whereas, I'm only 9 days off stage, but I'm already looking going, oh, I look watery, and it's difficult, definitely. But I think, now that I'm a pro, that mentality, it's starting to settle in now. Like I'm comfortable with it. At the end of the day, that's the expectation now, is I need to do a proper off season. I need to get a bit bigger. I need to work on some areas, always thickness everywhere, get them legs brought up a bit more, get a bit more width and that sort of thing. And that, I need to eat the calories to lift more weight and build muscle organically, I guess.
I was gonna say before the first time I had you on, I was scrolling through your Instagram and I saw a photo of you in your off season and you still had abs. You were like on vacation or something like that, and I was like, screw her. This is just ridiculous. So at least now, but yeah, again, that's just genetics at work, everyone. But one of the
Exactly.
things that I find so interesting about people, and this applies to me as well, is like when I achieve a goal that I've been working so hard for, it sometimes is hard for me to still like reach ahead. So like when you were trying to get your pro card and that was just your whole goal set, I'm gonna get my pro card. is it hard for you now to find even more motivation to compete in the pro level, or is it just one of those things where it was just a stepping stone? Because for some people that I've talked to, once they win their pro card, they find that motivation hard to keep going because like they have been working so hard for that goal, and once they achieve it, they're like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the case in all aspects of life, especially bodybuilding, but even in like careers and things like that you work for. Yeah, definitely. I think there's always a sense of relief when you've got it and you've hit that milestone. But for me, I've always been the type of person. I'm on to the next goal now. The next goal for me is to develop myself. Obviously, focus on my career. Bodybuilding is still going to be there. Gain the size. Sit down with my coach, pick some pro shows next year that we're going to go after, get the plan in place ready for that, and just take every day and every week as it comes in terms of what the plan's going to look like when off season properly starts and all the rest of it. And that's why I try to keep busy. So like I say, I'm going to Poland with my sponsors for a photo shoot, which is amazing. So I'll be doing that at some point really, really soon in the next couple of weeks. I've obviously got all sorts of bits on, like I'm doing a few routines with people. I'm judging the rest of the year now, which is great. So keeping myself in the loop. And I think that really helps mentally, that there's other things that come with being a pro, which is, social media has just gone through the roof as well since I've competed. So it's managing that, looking at other aspects of it, dipping my toe in other things that I can do, like routines that I'm doing, or, looking at different ventures in terms of online coaching, bits like that, just other things that will keep me busy. But yeah, I definitely see why people do that. I mean, I know loads of pros that have the pro card and haven't even competed as a pro, because it's that milestone, like you say. But for me, bodybuilding has a shelf life. I'll probably only be doing bodybuilding for the next couple of years. I'll obviously always be in the gym, but I have to think realistically about eventually later down the line when children are involved, probably in about 5-6 years time. I don't want to do bodybuilding then. Like I'll be in a different phase of my life, so I definitely have a few years left in me to, do some damage, do some pro shows, earn some money. Because I think the motivator now is every show that I compete in will be for money, and it never has been before. I've won the British finals and won £1,000 before. That was a few years ago now. They don't do that. Whereas every pro show offers money for PCA. So for me, that's going to be the motivator, is free money. Like, at the end of the day, I can put that in a pot and I can spend it on what I want. So that's going to be the new motivator for me, is actually being a pro and actually having that money incentive as well. I think is really important, because I can't compete as an amateur now, and I think that's a privilege. And I think if you always think of that, like you have earned a pro card, like you cannot do amateur shows now, you can't do any other federations. That is such a gift. And with that comes more responsibility. People are going to look at me as a pro, so I can't be off form.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, speaking of kids, I do have to give a shout out on this podcast because two of my friends from high school both had their first kid yesterday. They had them on the same day. So congrats, Ryan, and congrats, Joe, if you're listening to this podcast. So
Oh,
yeah, and and also today that we're recording, it is May 25th. This will be out in like 2 weeks, but my older brother just turned 30 today too, so I will be inebriated tonight, everyone. So this will be the last time that you'll see me sober for probably a couple of days. So,
yeah.
there is absolutely there's a celebration for that. But I mean, back onto with Charley. I mean, I had to do a little tangent there, but I mean, Charley, this is it's a lot. It's a life changing thing. Win a pro card, especially for a lot of bodybuilders, but out of all the stuff that you get, like you get the messages, you get all the other stuff. What is the most exciting aspect for you so far about being a pro?
Um, there's so many things that come with it, really. I think, for me, it's personally, for me, I've hit my life goal that I wanted to in bodybuilding. That's a big thing in itself, 100%. Um, Obviously the other things that come with it, the sponsor opportunities, the messages, the people that want to be coached by me or talk to me or have me for photo shoots and getting paid photo shoots. Like there's so many things that come with it. And I think for me as well, just having that status of saying that I'm a professional athlete is a really big deal. And I think just having that status and, just living and breathing by that as a pro is so important. And, it's just a status in itself, really. So I think, yeah, there's so many things that do come with it. It's quite difficult though, because I already had, people that followed me. I already had my judging accreditation. Like I already had quite a lot of stuff. I've already got a good sponsor that do a lot for me. So in terms of additional stuff, like I know there's going to be more things to come with it. So it's exciting, and it's just, I think, putting yourself out there and just celebrating the fact that you've done a good job and you deserve it, and take everything in your stride, really, because there's so many other things that could come from this, which could be coming over to the States PCA to do the American PCA Pro Show. Never know.
Where do they do their? Do you know where they do their PCA Pro shows here in America?
Do you know what? I actually don't. So when I'm judging this weekend, I'm going to find out like if there is going to be any international pro shows, which I'm sure there will be because their pro league is growing massively now. The PCA Universe was actually the first one that they put on because it got postponed because of COVID. So, that's something that I really want to look into. Is doing some in America. I actually just don't know whereabouts they are. I've got a feeling that some of them are in like they're definitely not in like the big states that everyone knows of, like New York and stuff like that. I've got a thing like Minnesota could be one. Like, I'll have to get back to you on that, but 100% definitely. And then we can do a face-to-face interview.
Yeah, and then she can embarrass me in the gym, everyone. That's the one thing I love the most about this podcast. Yeah. No, that would be outstanding. Yeah, if you come, just don't come here during the winter. That's the only thing I'll ever say. Just stay here. Come here during the months of June to October at the latest. You come here later than that, you will die. Like I'll be
Yeah.
you will freeze to death. Yeah. Especially if you're in contest shape. If you're in contest shape, yeah, you'll become an icicle as soon as you step off that plane. But I mean, you mentioned judging, and this is one thing that we didn't talk about the last time that I had you on, but how did you get into judging?
So it's quite a funny story actually. So I emigrated to New Zealand a couple of years ago. Like it's quite a long story, but I basically got offered a job there. Like found a job and was like, do you know what? I'm going to New Zealand. Like they literally said you need to be here in 4 weeks, and I was like, oh, I'm going. And the idea was to stay there, settle down there, but things change. So I was already doing a bit of judging for PCA, and Ryan, he's actually called Ryan actually, the founder of PCA, Ryan Alexander. We're not related. Everyone thinks we are because of the jawline and the teeth and the surname. But that's a little inside joke that we have. So he said to me, he was like, look, we already have a PCA Australia and all these countries. Like, do you want to set up PCA New Zealand? And I was like, yeah, do you know what? Great. Like, I love PCA. I always have done. I've obviously got a business mindset. How hard can it be? So I actually went over there as well for work, but also to do bits of that. And there was a lot of interest, to be honest. But the only problem was New Zealand is really expensive, and I had venues secured, and also the population is actually not that big. So bodybuilders are like 1%, right, of the UK, even if not less. So obviously in New Zealand, if it was 1%, it's even less, and it's so spread out that people just wouldn't travel 8 hours to a show and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, we had shows lined up and things like that, but we just didn't have people waiting last minute to actually register, and I just couldn't wait that long to actually secure the venue and lose money, because obviously if you secure a venue and put a deposit down, you've only got so long before you can cancel and things. So we basically decided to pull the plug, because I ended up coming back anyway in a year. So we ended up sort of pulling the plug, but from there I just kept judging anyway with Ryan. So there's quite a lot that goes into it. People think you a bodybuilder, you can just be a judge. There's not, because every federation has a different way of judging, what they look at, the criteria. So you actually have to do quite a lot of shadowing and quite a lot of like scrutiny first of all, and you do get watched. Your stuff gets marked and reviewed. So like as you sort of put in your numbers of who you see for like the first call outs and things like that, and who you put in order, if you've done something like quite out of the scope, you'll get pulled on it, and it'll be like, well, why did you pick that decision? So there's quite a lot of training, and I've got it on my wall, like you get accredited after you've done so much of it, which is great. So I did that back in 2019, and then obviously COVID happened, and then didn't have many shows to do, and then I started prep. So I don't judge when I'm in season, I don't judge when I'm competing, and that's why I'm judging the rest of the year, because nothing I judge now will affect me. And I just think that's really important. PCA wouldn't let me do that anyway, but I think from an athlete's point of view, although you would never be biased, because you just can't be. I just think it's so good to show that you are out of season, you can judge. When you're in season, you don't judge, because it's nothing to do with you and people you're against and things like that. So that's how that came about, really. So yeah, I'm excited to get back on the judges' table, to be fair, because they're all great people. They're all pros or bodybuilders or people that have been in the industry a long time, and a great group of people. And I think for me, it's just, we all look at different things. We all have a different opinion, even though the criteria is the same for the federation. Everybody's looking at that criteria. It gives people a different eye, because as well, I've just stepped off stage, so I know what the standard looks like, and I know different posing, and I just maybe have a different eye that other people that haven't been on stage for a while have seen. So I think that's just really important to have a good mix of people on the panel, people that are currently competing or not competing, and just have that balance, because federations that stick with like the same judges, that are like 80 years old, that have to put their spectacles on to look at you, that are judging you based on like the 20 years ago bodybuilding, which is just so outdated. You need to be adaptable to change. So I think I can bring quite a lot of current change to the panel.
Well, you talked about, having that eye and having that balance. Every judge is slightly different from everyone else when it comes to what they're looking for, what they want. Not one judge is the same. For you personally, what do you think differentiates you from other judges when it comes to your own personal view of what you're looking for in a competitor?
Um, like I think for me, my one of my big ethoses of myself, and you are your own worst critic, right? My biggest pet peeve is people winning shows with lagging body parts. And I'm so strict on that, because I just think like you shouldn't win a show if you have saggy glutes, or your legs haven't come in and stuff like that. And I completely get it, some people still might have a great shape, but for me, I'm just like, you haven't ticked all the boxes. The person that ticks the most boxes when it comes to overall balance and symmetry and fitting the criteria is so so important. And as well, I think being a female athlete, and especially been on stage recently, there is some people that really push the boundary, in turn figure, really pushing the size and the condition, then getting moved out, or people in athletic, really pushing the condition and getting moved out. So I think for me, it's all about being fair as well. Like, people need to be moved out of classes who, are going to get technically down judged, even though they look really, really good, but they need to be in another class. So I think that's something I really stand on from my point of view. Overall balance, symmetry, and no lagging body parts is so so important to me, because I just think like you shouldn't win a show if you've not got overall balance. Like, at the end of the day, it is a balancing game. It shouldn't go to somebody who's got big shoulders but no glutes, or good width but no thickness. Like, it has to be an all rounder, because I just think people that are the all rounder, they've got the most potential as well. And then, at the end of the day, if your body is all round, then you've left no stone unturned. You haven't just neglected a body part. You've literally sculpted your body to be perfect in every area. So that's one thing I think I bring to the judges' table, along with being really strict in terms of the fairness of the categories, specifically for women. But also with men, it's so funny. I find judging men so much easier than judging women. And I think it's because it's so marginal. Sometimes the bikini classes are on, and I'm like, whoa, you all look the same. And you've got to really look then. And it's so difficult because it's so quick. You can't just like, like and ah and think, oh, maybe you have to be quick off the mark. So I'm just really, really glad that I've had laser eye surgery, so I don't have to wear my glasses now, and my vision is perfect, that I can actually see every detail and every vein coming through.
So how do you differentiate those? Because I'm not gonna lie, as someone who's never even, I'm never gonna judge a show. I'm never gonna even be associated with it. But like, I see some of these competitors standing next to each other, and I cannot tell a difference for a lot of them. Now, a lot of times too, like you might have a competitor that's a lot taller than the other one, and then obviously you might see some changes. But there are some of these shows that I've looked at some of the results, and I say, well, thank God I'm not judging, because I would have no idea of finding a difference in them.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong, it is really, really difficult. And I think when you've got people with such similar physiques, at the end of the day, it comes down to preference. It comes down to preference on shape, because I might prefer a smaller waist in a male's bodybuilding class than people that might prefer a thicker waist. So there is subjectiveness that has to then come into play if people are quite similar in their body shapes and whatnot. And then it also comes down to like the presence on stage, because although the body is obviously the art and the most important and what we're looking at, if you can't display that in the best light possible when you're posing, or maybe you're doing the wrong poses, and they're the sort of things you do have to take into account as well. And it might be that somebody looks great, but as soon as they turn around to the back, and this is one thing I've struggled with myself actually for years, is pulling my lats out when I'm doing my overhand. shot. So for me, like if I was being critical of myself, if I did everything perfectly but a turn to the back, and it was so marginal, this could have happened to me actually when I came second. You don't know, but my latches didn't come out as much, and I just didn't look as wide. That could be it. That could literally be it. So it can be that marginal, and I think you know when it is that marginal, PCA is one federation and others as well that really make a point of saying there is 1 point difference. And I think for mentally that's so important because you're basically showing that you either of it could have gone either way. That's basically what you're saying. And I think that's really, really important for people to know that, it was down to subjectiveness and we had to just go with preference on people. Everyone's got a different preference and that's just how it is.
Absolutely. I mean, with any human beings judging, there's going to be some error. There's going to be some other stuff, but it's pretty. Other than using machines, it's about as close as it can get. So there's that. But you did mention posing. Did you change up your routine at all this year? What did you add in? How is it different?
So I loved my routine this year. I'm not going to lie. So my routines are always quite similar, Ryan. It's the favorite thing that I love to do because I bring in back in my dancing. Nobody usually does a routine like I do, so it's my one time to shine. So I picked another slow song. Actually, I picked Becky Hill. I could get used to this, but it was the orchestra version. I think that's how you say it, where it was just a lot slower. I actually I did a warm up show 7 weeks out just for banter. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, it's a good comparison to where I was on show day though. Thank God I won the overall and got a sword. That's the one thing I wanted. So yeah, that was crazy. But when I did the same routine for both. But when I sent my music in, and I'm so glad I did that show now. I sent in the fast version, and literally as soon as it came on, and I
Yeah.
like went into it, and it started going da, 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 like a lot faster. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to speed this up so quick. And I came off stage, and I was obviously straight back on because that's always where I end up being on stage. And I was just like, oh my god, that was not supposed to be that fast. And I obviously wasn't even as lean as I was then, so my fitness clearly wasn't as great. And I was just like, oh my god. So I sent in the right song this time, but yeah, it was really, really good. There's actually PCA actually reposted it and tagged me in it on my Instagram, so you might be able to go find that. But yeah, it's really love my routine and might change my posing though. So I went to go see one of the ladies that's recommended for doing posing. She works with my coach quite a lot, so my coach has the coaching side, and then she does a lot of our posing, and she's one of the judges as well. So she has a really, really good eye for it. So we changed up my poses quite a bit. Based on my physique, because the thing is I could display more this time as well. So we changed up the posing. The main thing that we changed was like the transitions as well. Transitions are obviously really, really key. And I honestly think based on the feedback I had last time, which was angles, I really did try to nail them. So that's what I mean. That's one thing actually I'm going to take away from this is, I think I neglect posing more than most people do, and I don't know whether that's because I've always done it and I've always just gone with the flow and winged it because I just feel like I can because I'm a dancer and that's generally what we do. We improvise. I've realised I just can't do that now. So posing's something I'm really going to work on from day one in prep, and even through the off season. The only problem is when you're not lean. I don't like looking at myself. That's the only problem. But I've learned from that. So yeah, got some new poses in. Just fine tweaks really that we had to do. Like I say, I always have a bit of problem with my lats pulling out, and things like that, which is just stuff I always have to keep on top of with like acupuncture and massage and things like that. So yeah, tweaked a lot of that really, but. I think, yeah, I really tried to nail it this time. I changed my posing a lot last time, so this was just fine tuning really. And did a few like new signature shots, if you will. So like side chest for a woman is generally there's so many variations, and we just sort of we changed it a little bit. There's a photo of me doing that, but we just changed it, and nobody else clearly did it. And we also actually in the comparisons, you don't actually have to turn in a circle like you do with your what do you call it, your mandatory poses. So I didn't stand on my bad side because you don't actually have to. So you didn't see me once stand this way. It was always front shot, side shot, back this way. And I feel like that really helped me because I always struggle getting round with that side. So yeah, that was another big tweak actually that we did, and it paid off.
Well, thank God you competed in that show before, because I could not imagine talking to you right now saying you didn't win your pro card because you picked the wrong song. You did the wrong version of the song in your posing routine. That would have been, I would have tried not to laugh, but I cannot make any promises right there. But again, yeah, that is just it's so many little things with the sport that people just do not understand. Yeah, maybe sending in a quicker version of your song, it's just the little things that add up and make this sport, really, what it is. But now I'm going to become your boyfriend's favorite person on the planet. I don't talk that much about significant others on this podcast, but they mean so much to these competitors because of what they do. How important is it having your boyfriend when you're on your prep? Because I can imagine you do not have the biggest mindset when it comes to, just living life as when you're on prep. Because I can, with all the brain farts and everything, how important is it that your significant other was with you, and what does he mean to you during your preps?
Oh wow, Paddy is an absolute godsend. Like he's just so level-headed. Like he's just the perfect balance and everything you would probably want in a
Wait,
person.
wait, wait, wait. His name's Paddy?
Paddy, yeah.
Okay, that's the most British name ever, and that's awesome as well.
Everybody thinks he's Irish, but he's not. His,
That
his
well, I
real
was gonna say Irish too. Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
his real name is Patrick, but we call
Okay,
him Paddy.
okay.
Um, but yeah, he's been an absolute godsend. I mean, he's supported me from absolutely day one, and at the end of the day, he's a keen gym goer. Like he loves going to the gym. We train together when we see each other, and we thrive off each other. And I mean, he's 6'3" and he is big. Like he pushes me. And
Same
he
thing
makes
as me, basically. So he's like me, basically. So I can understand that. Yeah.
huge. But yeah, he's massive. So he pushes me in the gym as well, and he's just so motivating. And I think the really big thing is he believes in me, is proud of me, and also he's not afraid to say things to me as well. He obviously is biased because he's my boyfriend, but in the same breath, he'll be really honest with me. Like if I needed to bring my legs up, like last time, he's like, "Do you know what? You should probably bring your legs up. Like your legs could get a little bit bigger." And that's it. He's just been great. And the best thing is as well, he just doesn't complain. He doesn't moan. He gets it. He gives me the space if I need it, which is quite rare, really. I mean, actually, you probably would say different, but because obviously, it's sometimes in prep you have good weeks and bad weeks, don't you? I guess. But yeah, just an absolute godsend. And he, like, when I'm prepping my meals, he will eat the same as I eat, and I think that is so valuable. Even though he's not a bodybuilder, he'll never step on stage. This is my thing. He's got his own things. Just doing that. And he actually said to me, he went out for a burger with his friends. And then came back to mine the next day, and I made him steak and sweet potato and veg because that's what I was having. He just gets bigger quantities than what I used to get, and he's like, honestly, I would prefer this, and this tastes so much better than what I had, because I try to keep it interesting. Like I use bits of spices and obviously sauces and things like that, so I keep it interesting. And that is so motivating in itself. But yeah, he's an absolute godsend. I'm his biggest fan. He's my biggest fan. That's sorry, the other way. Yeah, he's my biggest fan, and I love it because he's so motivating and inspirational. I think he just keeps me level, and he gives me the confidence that I need as well. Because sometimes it's very rare that I do have a wobble, but sometimes it's like, God, do I look good? Because sometimes when you're at the end of prep, you just don't know if you look good or not. Like it got to the last 2 weeks of prep, I didn't even feel lean. It was weird. And he just keeps bringing me back to reality. And I think, having somebody that supports you. I mean, as well, he when I was walking on stage, apparently he was like pacing up and down. With his hands behind his back, as you do when you're like tense. When I was walking on, and his parents were there and his mum, and somebody said to him like, "Can you stop pacing up and down? You're making me nervous." But his mum said to me, "I've never seen him like that nervous," and I think it was just because he knew how much I wanted it. He wanted me so bad to get it. He thought I deserved it before. He always thinks I deserve it. He constantly, he's not afraid to say what he thinks. Let's put it that way. But I admire him for that, because I just think it's really, really important. And afterwards, I obviously wasn't emotional, but his mum was crying. He was just over the moon. I think everybody was more buzzing than probably what I was, and that was just because they see how hard I work. And sometimes you just don't give yourself enough credit. But yeah, I think obviously my partner's been amazing, Paddy, but my family in general. I mean, I don't know if you can actually see this, but like I've got a really big
Oh my God, that looks awesome.
Oh, I've only got like a quarter of the way through it, but my mum literally just every show that I do, luckily I only do one a year now because this is expensive. But she does me a basket just filled with sweets and chocolate and cards and teddies and, really cute stuff. And it's just, yeah, I think people are just really, really proud. And, I like making people proud. And it's just so nice to know that, people see how hard I work and, they want to support me and help me. So yeah, I think Paddy's obviously been a godsend because he sees the brunt of it. And luckily, Paddy, if you see this, I hopefully this hasn't been as bad as a prep as other ones have been. I mean, when I first started prep, I did rip a door off its hinges, but
Ooh.
the door, in my defence, comes off anyway.
Are you just stronger than you think? Is that the thing?
I am, yeah. I think I am stronger than I think, definitely. God, yeah, and I can get a temper if I don't get my own way sometimes. But I think all people can, all women can maybe. But yes, other people as well have been an absolute godsend. My family, my friends, even my colleagues at work. I mean, I ate a cookie at work the other day, and everyone just looked at me really funny. Was like, I was like, what? And they were just like, it's just weird watching you have a cookie. Like I've never seen you out of prep, or I've never seen you not have your meals. And I was just like, no, it is weird actually. I feel weird.
Well, I will say, Paddy, enjoy the fact that your girlfriend does a sport where you can say you might want to work on your legs. Because if I were to say that to my girlfriend, I would be on a date then with someone else probably a month later. So enjoy that. That's a perk, I guess, where you can say, oh, you can work on that. But yeah, I mean, I like to give a shout out to the significant others because yeah, they bear the brunt of all this, and it's just like the saying, like for every good man, there's a woman behind him. It's the same thing with competitors. For every competitor, there's a support system behind them that really works into it. And yeah, that is just amazing. And I mean, other than the photo shoots and anything like that, when we do have you on after your show next year, where would you like to be at? Are there any goals that you have even outside the gym or just in bodybuilding in general that you're looking forward to maybe accomplishing within the next year?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously it's still so early days being off stage, but I've definitely got some planning to do. But I reckon one or two big pro shows next year. Obviously, I'm going for the win. So yeah, one or two pro shows next year. I really want to do an international show. I competed with Naber back in 2018 for the World in Italy, and I loved it. It was so different, and it's just, actually being in Italy after the show, going for pasta and pizza, and it was a little bit of a holiday. So I really want to do some international stuff next year, and obviously some local stuff, earn some dollar, definitely. I think in terms of like gym goals as well, obviously putting on a bit of size myself, doing the judging for the rest of this year, next year just sort of I guess assessing where I'm going to be competing, where that's going to lead me to, and sort of go from there really, and what that looks like in terms of out of the gym. I'm looking to hopefully open a new office with work, and that requires a lot. I mean, I set up this office back in February last year. So we're still kind of in the infancy, but we are doing amazingly. Like we're hitting milestones and targets left, right, and center. Like I actually had an email from one of the founders of the company just saying, "Wow, we knew you were going to be good, and this was going to be good, but we didn't know it was going to be this good." Like wow. So they're paying for us all to go to the races, which is called Royal Ascot in a few weeks, which is not cheap. Like I went out to a restaurant today for hitting targets called Gap Cheers, and it's one of the most expensive restaurants in Leeds. Like we got a steak platter board, which basically cost like £115, and it had 4 steaks on it. But they're the sort of things that I've missed out on or I haven't been able to participate in. So yeah, I think with work for me, like hopefully next year at some point we will be either thinking about opening a new office, which I'll be heading up, and then sort of moving into promotion, being a regional manager. So I've got a lot of work goals. Also, Paddy's going to be moving in at the end of this year. I want to get a dog as well, Ryan. Like that's another thing on my cards. Like I really want a dog. I think because kids aren't on the card anytime
It
soon.
inspires you to do cardio as well.
Yeah, I want a working dog, and the office that we work in now is dog friendly. So Doggy's not going to be left on his own for too long. I've already picked what kind of dog I want. So I want like a golden retriever, or I want that might be a little bit big for the office, but a golden retriever or maybe a cocker spaniel, and it's going to be a male dog, and it's going to be called Lucky. So I've already picked the dog. So that's another thing that I want. I just want responsibility over something, because I think, bodybuilding is such a selfish sport. You have to constantly think about yourself and your schedule. You honestly can't program many things in, and even if you do, you're thinking about your training and your meals. So it can be quite selfish, and I just think I really want to give back to other people. So I might dabble in a bit of online coaching or advice. Like, I really like solution finding for people, and I think a lot of people get so overwhelmed with bodybuilding, or just in the industry, or maybe they didn't get the result that they want, or maybe they're not good with time management. And I think I kind of want to do some coaching in that respect, sort of like life coaching, really. I think that's something I really want to sort of take up on. So yeah, the list is endless, Ryan, to be honest with you. I like being busy, so I will fill up my prep time with other things, I think.
Oh, whereas for me, my life goal is to be retired at 40, so I can just sit on a beach and just drink margaritas all day, every day, and not even. I mean, I am. Yeah, like I can be as busy as you. Like, I can go to that extreme, but then also I can also go to the extreme where it's like don't even move a muscle for weeks on end. Just that was me for the first few weeks of COVID. I would literally get up from my bed to do the podcast, go downstairs, play video games or watch a movie or something like that, and repeat for a couple months for COVID. So that was heaven for me for that little break, at least. But I mean, we didn't talk about this last time too as well. You have a job, you're in a relationship, you do bodybuilding. Two of those three things, if someone has it, it's hard enough for time management. But doing all three, how do you do your time? Like you said, you always like to stay busy, but still doing those three things in a life, you have to be a special sort of person to be able to have enough time to do all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think, another one of my pet hates, or something I really try and teach people, is when people always say, like, "Oh, I'm too busy." It's not a case of being too busy. It's about what you prioritize or you see as important. So, people think that you've got, I mean, people, for me, in my opinion, I think people that are a personal trainer or a coach or whatever, they have it a lot easier than somebody like me would bodybuilding, because they're in that setting, they're around those people, they're in the gym. They probably don't work as many hours as I do, so they have it a lot easier. So I have to adapt to be a bodybuilder. I've got to adapt what I would normally do on a daily basis to fit in everything at once. And you've got 24 hours in the day, right? So my day will start with getting up at 4 a.m. That will be getting ready not for work. So I won't do my makeup and stuff. So I'll basically just get up, get ready, sort out my food prep bag, get all my bags ready to go, get in the car, drive to the gym, do my morning cardio, get a shower, get ready for work, walk into work from 7 a.m. So I'm already up for 3 hours before I get to work. Then I'll be at work from 7 till 4. So obviously just working flat out all day. I try to finish at 4. Sometimes I can't, and I'll finish at 5. On my lunch break, obviously get steps in. So in the morning I'll go get a coffee. On my lunch break, that's when I'll do errands and stuff. Go get my steps in, that sort of thing. Obviously it's a busy day and I can't get a lunch break. It is what it is. And then from there I will walk back to the gym, train, because I've already got my 2 sets of clothes. People know me for having multiple bags, but I need it. I need cardio clothes, I need work clothes, I need after gym clothes, I need all of them. So I go back to my gym and train. So I try and keep that really strict to an hour. Obviously if I'm doing posing practice and stuff, I'll try and be quite strict with like an hour and 15. And that's why I split it up, because if I had to do my cardio and training, I'll be in the gym for 2 hours and then I'll flag and I won't get a lot out of it. So I go back to my gym, take a pre-workout, do my stuff, get back in the car, drive home. Obviously if I need to go food shopping, I'll do that all on the way home. So I usually get back for about 6:30. And then when I get back, it is literally a case of do my washing, do my house, prep meals if I need to, sort out my bags for tomorrow. And then basically, yeah, have a bath and go to bed. So it was actually funny. One of my colleagues said this to me. They said, when do you actually sit down, Charley? And I was like, approximately for about 40 minutes when I've made my tea and I sit down and I eat it. But whilst I'm doing that, I will have the telly on, but I probably won't be watching it. So at the minute, I'm obsessed with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Like, I'm not going to lie.
No, that is my cardio. I listen to that when I go on my cardio walks at night. That is what I do. Yep. Same thing. Yep.
Oh, honestly, like if I wasn't a recruitment manager, I would have been a lawyer in another life. Honestly, I love it. So yes, I'll be watching that whilst I'm having my tea, being productive. So I don't actually have time to sit and unwind. Like the only, and Paddy's really good actually at helping me do this. So on a weekend, just helping, just making me watch a film, and he literally has to sit me down and put me down and take things off me. Because if I sit down, I'm already thinking like, oh, I could be putting my wash on now, or oh, I could be doing this. I'd have to be proactive. I can't leave stuff till tomorrow. I have to do it now. I had to be done yesterday.
Well,
So yeah. So anyway, I sort of went off on a tangent then,
no
but
worries.
yeah, that's how I utilize my time. Like I utilize every minute of my day. Um, and obviously, when I'm not in prep, I'm still doing cardio in the morning because I need to stay semi in shape at least for these holidays before I get chunky. So I'm just utilizing my time a bit differently. So I literally got back. What time did we start videoing? Like 7:15. So I literally
Yeah.
got back in for, because I worked later at work. I got back in for 6:15. I prepped all of my meals for the next couple of days. I've sorted my tea out, which or my dinner, which I've got ready to go after this. I've run myself a bath, which I can top up when we're finished. I've done my washing. I've put that on the line. I have put my clothes away. I've packed my bags for tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm literally, once this is done now, I know that I've got time to get in bed early because sleep is so important, and I do love sleeping. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an ugly sleeper. I sleep with my mouth open, I starfish, I'm an ugly sleeper, and it's probably because I don't get as much of it and I just go boom. um so yeah, I'll literally get in bed if I can for 9:30, back up at 4. Like that's just the way it is.
Someone who does all that in the house, Patty, just marry her already. Geez, that's wife material right there. Someone who does all that stuff already, and just like, oh my god, that's. But yeah, you have to. First of all, you have to be that type of personality to be a bodybuilder. That's what I found in this sport. Like, you cannot be my personality and compete because like I did before. I'd give up, a couple weeks in. So there is that at least. But I gotta ask, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. So what are your thoughts of it so far? Because for me, yeah, I'm just I just want it to be now that they're both done testifying and stuff like that. I was like, okay, just get it over with now. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know who Amber Heard was. To be fair, like I just saw obviously
I
all
knew
the
her as the hot girl from Pineapple Express when I was in high school. That's how
when he was in.
that's how we know. Yeah, yeah. That's
I
about
mean,
it, really.
when people said obviously she was in Aquaman, obviously I love Aquaman. I've watched that. I was like, oh, right, okay, that is her. Like it's just bizarre. But anyway, obviously I love Johnny Depp. I know who he is. And when I first started watching it, I was just like, I mean, Johnny Depp is just great. Like I just think he's so authentic and he doesn't change. Like from what I've seen, how he is in the audio recordings and things like that. He's like the same as he is when he's talking and testifying. Like there's no difference there. I'm gonna say it now. I'm pro Johnny. Like justice for Johnny. I've been watching Popcorn Planet. I don't know if you follow them on YouTube, but I think they're so insightful actually of sort of like just breaking it all down and things. But I'm all about justice, and it just really really annoys me because it's just the theatrics of it all and the over exaggerating and how you can be like that and listen to a recording which is a completely different person. And it's like it just doesn't, hair end of the bargain just doesn't make sense to me. And one of my big pet hates is people playing victim, and especially women, because I just think this is so not talked about, and it really really annoys me that people victimize themselves and say that men are the abuser and this like that. Women are just as bad, and I've seen it firsthand from people, and I see it in like daily life in people that I've seen in relationships, and I can see the control element of it there and like the differences, and I'm like, this is bad. Like, and when I put two and two together, and this really annoys me as well, is that suicide is the biggest rate of suicide is in men under 30. And I'm sorry, but I honestly believe a lot of women will contribute to that. And it will be things like not letting men see their kids, or, mentally abusing them, and, like thinking that they can hit a man, but they can't get hit by a man. So, she just screams everything that I just don't agree with when it comes to a woman, and the lies and just the story. It's just pathetic. And her lawyers are an absolute joke. Like, I love justice. I honestly think I could have done such a better job than they could. Like, they are just, I don't even know if they went to law school. Like, they just don't make sense. Like, they're calling people the wrong names. They're not getting their story straight. They're shuffling papers. They just look like they just don't care. So yeah, that's my whole take on it. I could talk for hours,
Oh,
honestly.
I could as well. I mean, I will say though, this trial has made me realize that because movies try to make lawyers seem like it's all cool. It's so much more boring in real life than any, like, you realize how boring of a like, people talk about wanting to be a lawyer. I was like, okay, you must be a natural, no offense, you must be like a naturally boring person, because like you cannot be a high energetic person like me and be a lawyer, because you'd burn yourself out, and so it's,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's one thing that I realize as well. But yeah, I don't, I have no idea. I mean, it's hard. There's no I mean, obviously I've met women like her, and so I know sort of stuff like that. Like, I had a friend who was accused of stuff in college, got kicked off the basketball team, and then 2 months later they found out she was lying, and then he still wasn't able to play again because of the stigma of being accused of something. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and I think it just has a broader, impact on society. But yeah, and I mean, again, Charley, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and giving us an update. And I look forward to having you on again. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I always love to hear your thoughts on things, and just to talk with you. And absolutely, if you're ever in the Minnesota area, like I said, come during the summer. But let me know. But again, thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, Ryan. I absolutely love being on this podcast, and I keep obviously I'm subscribed, so I keep seeing everybody else's, and it's just so inspiring, like just seeing all the other people that you meet and you interview and stuff, and just like how we're all similar in a sense, but we always have such a different view on things, and I
Mhm.
just think yeah, it's a great channel to be on. It's a pleasure for me to do it, and yeah, it's fab to actually come on and actually review on what we set out to do, Ryan. So thank you for being a part of my journey as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it by myself. And again, everyone, go and give her a follow on her Instagram. I'll leave a link down below. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.